What's up, everybody? This is Tears of the Kingdom running in RyuJinx. Game appears to be running pretty smooth. It's definitely playable like this. Got some of the anti-aliasing options, FXAA, approximate anti-aliasing, and some bilinear filtering and some other minor graphical enhancements turned on. Trying to get it as close as possible to the Switch. I think it's being rendered with Vulkan, and it looks great. Like, this is the best performing Switch emulator that I've gotten to run on my PC, and I've got a pretty modest system spec wise. I've got an Intel A750 GPU with 8 gigs of VRAM, and it's generally like a budget friendly card that's comparable to the lower offerings from Nvidia, so it plays most modern games pretty well, but it's definitely limited when you try to crank some things up really high in the settings. It doesn't like it, but it performs admirably for a budget card. Pretty much card was like $250 when I got it, summer of 23. So anyway, Tears of the Kingdom was one of the obvious choices for games that I wanted to run in RyuJinx to see just how good looking of a game I can get it to be, like running in this emulator. Could I get it comparable to the Switch or far past the Switch? And it's looking like it's right about on par with performance of the Switch. Nothing crazy, just wanted the settings to touch the game up, because if you look at this game running in like without any anti-aliasing or without any enhancements, it's kind of rough looking. And I know that the Switch, being an underpowered piece of hardware, it has some little tricks that it does to pull off the overall smooth look of the game. When you see the game with no post-processing whatsoever, it's striking how much different it looks than the cleaned up image. Oh, it wants me to fuse these guys. There we go. See, we made a bridge out over here. Got that treasure chest. Head south past where the large birds were into a small canyon, past lined with mushrooms. Looks like we're going generally the right direction. Ooh, a bow. There we go. So you can big game hunt in this. And so overall, I'm pretty happy with the performance in RyuJinx. I was running Suyu as my main Switch emulator. As you might know, Suyu is sort of a fork of Yuzu, which was one of the initial Switch emulators that was out on the scene at first. But since there's been some action, you know, from Nintendo and so forth, and you've had emulators change names and fork off and so forth. So I think that performance-wise, on my modest hardware, RyuJinx is the best overall performing Switch emulator. It was looking good on Suyu, but I was having stuttering issues in games like Mario Odyssey and this game as well. And so I was like, well, it's not going to work for a playthrough. I wouldn't be able to do a full game playthrough with that kind of performance. But upon loading RyuJinx last night, I was pleasantly surprised. The games certainly aren't looking incredible compared to the Switch. They look just good, but frame rate's about looking pretty low. It's like 30 or less. And that's probably the only like major drawback is the 30 frames per second that I assume the Switch itself would be running at, just so this game can run. And there's also a texture recompression setting in RyuJinx that's could specifically affect this game because of the way the game programs texture compression, I suppose. It's applicable. But yeah, RyuJinx overall, great emulator. It appears to be the same tech as like Citra. It's got the same settings menu as Citra. And Cemu for that matter. So I think this, Cemu, and Citra are all kind of from the same developer. All right, more fun with vehicles. Wait, is that? Yeah, that'll work. Make a vehicle. don't know if that's gonna work. There we go. Now, did we make ourselves a trolley car? Oops. Boom. No! No! Fuck. Damn it. Did I just lost my fucking vehicle? Well, I guess that's the way it goes in this game. Ooh, a Korok. Huh. Okay. There and back there. So really all I did was just lose my ability to go to that little island? I don't know. Bridge above the cooking pot building. Oh, that looks like another shrine over here. It's too far to reach with water. Oops. So that's Breath of the Wild running on RyuJinx, like we said, 30 frames per second. I'll show you before we end the video here. Options, settings, and you can see in the graphics settings here, graphics backend, Vulkan, preferred GPU, my GPU. Resolution scale, I leave it at 1080. FXAA, you can pick SMAA as well and Ultra, but I didn't find the results to really be that different at all, and it's a performance hit. So anisotropic filtering, put it to auto. Aspect ratio, leave it to 16:9. Graphics backend, multi-threading, auto. Basically, I've got these options pretty light. And then there's also, they have a fantastic input menu where you can configure your Switch controller, and it even allows you to configure individual Joy-Cons or together, or play it in docked or handheld mode. So basically, it's doing a really good job of emulating the Switch. There's not like a ton of options. There's just the basics and just what you need, but as far as I'm concerned, the game's running good. And RyuJinx is one of those pieces of software that will have a console running to the side of it, so everything you do in RyuJinx will be reflected on this command line version of the app running over here. So that is Tears of the Kingdom running on RyuJinx.